Have you ever just stopped and really wondered why some people seem to, I don't know, just attract wealth, like opportunity and that kind of deep, quiet financial success just finds them?
Oh, absolutely. It's a question that comes up a lot, doesn't it? And we often jump to conclusions, we see that big success and think, must have been luck or maybe some secret inheritance or like one brilliant idea.
Yeah, exactly. Some huge one-off event.
But that assumption that wealth just happens in a big flash, that's probably the biggest mental block for most people, honestly. Our sources today, they really show something different.
Mm,
It's much less dramatic, more about the day-to-day, not really like winning the lottery at all.
right. We focus so much on the flashy outcome,
Yeah.
the quick win, the thing you can see, and we totally miss the boring stuff, the quiet inputs.
The boring stuff that actually works.
Yeah. And the material we're digging into today, it gets right to that core idea.
Mm.
Wealth, the lasting kind. It's mostly built through these, like, small daily habits, tiny choices, behaviors that
Yeah.
just stack up over years, quietly.
Invisibly, almost. And it compounds. It's not just about knowing finance terms. It's really about psychological discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And what's really striking about these 10 habits we're going to break down is the distinction they force you to make. It's not about looking rich. That's usually just spending money, right?
And expense, yeah.
Exactly. This is about how to actually be rich consistently. And that's a process. It's about building, accumulating. These habits, they represent a fundamental shift in your mental operating system.
From what to what, specifically?
Well, moving away from, say, a mindset of scarcity, where you're always reacting, always focused on immediate gratification, towards one of abundance, planning, long-term clarity, thinking slowly and clearly, you could say.
Mm. Okay, so that's our mission today for you, the listener. We've taken these sources and really distilled them down to 10 foundational rules.
Yeah.
Rules that you see again and again in people who've built wealth themselves.
Right. We want to get past the fluffy stuff, the generalizations. We're going to really look at the mechanics, the practical steps, and then the multipliers, things like time and knowledge, and finally, that psychological edge that makes it all stick.
Think of it like the blueprint
Yeah.
for building your financial house, brick by disciplined brick, over the long haul. All right, let's start right at the bottom, the absolute foundation. These are the habits that, well, they literally create the money you need to build anything else. First up, habit number 1. Our sources call it the seed principle, and it's apparently non-negotiable, paying yourself first.
Okay, this sounds so simple, maybe even cliche, but this is where the wealthy mindset really diverges from, say, the average person's approach to money.
How so?
Well, the average person, they tend to manage money reactively, right? Income comes in, then, okay, pay the rent, buy groceries, maybe some fun stuff, and then if anything's left at the end of the month, maybe save it.
Right. Saving is an afterthought.
Exactly. But the wealthy mindset, it's proactive. Saving, investing, putting money aside for the future that's treated like a mandatory bill. It's a fixed expense that happens first, right when the income hits the account, not last.
That seed analogy really clicks, doesn't it? Like a farmer. You wouldn't eat your entire harvest. That'd be crazy. You'd starve next year.
You have to set aside the seeds intentionally. That portion is crucial for the next harvest, hopefully a bigger one. And if you rely on just having willpower at the end of the month, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, that's usually a recipe for failure.
Which is why we need to get practical here. The sources suggest starting with a baseline, maybe 10% of your gross income, but the real key, the thing that makes it actually work, is automation.
Automating the saving.
Yes, set up an automatic transfer. The day you get paid, boom, that 10% or whatever percentage you start with goes straight into your savings or investment account before you even see it, really.
So it bypasses your decision-making process entirely.
Exactly. Decision fatigue is real. This way, your brain doesn't even get a chance to think about spending that money on, immediate wants. Psychologically, it's already gone. And guess what? You adapt. You learn to live on the remaining 90%.
Okay, but let me push back a little. What about someone listening who's maybe working a couple of jobs, barely making ends meet, and they hear 10% and think, that's just impossible. I'm paycheck to paycheck. Does this still apply?
It absolutely still applies, but the focus maybe shifts slightly. It's less about the absolute dollar amount initially and more about establishing the principle, the habit, the psychological commitment.
So even if it's tiny?
Even if you start with 1% or maybe just $50 a month, what you're doing is building the muscle. You're establishing the habit that you come first in your financial life, your future self. The power isn't really in that first $50. It's in the consistency. It's signaling to your brain over and over that growing your future is more important than immediate consumption. And that's how you start redefining wealth for yourself. It's not just earnings, it's what you consistently keep and then grow.
Okay, that makes sense. Establish the habit first, then scale it. So once you've got those seeds being planted regularly, you need to know where you're actually going, right? Which leads us smoothly into habit number 4, setting clear financial goals.
Right. Because wealthy people, the ones who build it themselves, they don't just like trip over a pile of money. They plan to get rich. They engineer it.
They have a destination in mind.
Exactly. Think about driving a car. If you don't have a specific place you're going, you're just burning fuel, going in circles maybe. Hope isn't a financial strategy. Planning is. You need that map.
And the key here, according to the sources, is that these goals aren't just vague wishes like, I want to be rich someday. They're specific, measurable.
Very specific. We're talking concrete numbers and timelines. Things like, I want to generate $6,000 in passive income per year by, say, month 36 from now. Or my target net worth by the time I'm 40 is going to be Y million dollars, mostly in these types of assets. Or even this year, my business revenue needs to increase by exactly 22%.
Why is that level of detail so crucial?
Because measurability gives your brain something concrete to work with. It provides direction, momentum. A fuzzy goal like be rich is useless, practically speaking. It doesn't tell you what to do today.
But something specific does.
Yes, a goal like, I need to acquire enough rental income from property Z to cover my home mortgage by the end of 2028, that immediately forces you to think tactically. Okay, what steps do I need? Research markets. Save X amount for the down payment. Calculate the cash flow needed. It dictates action. It breaks down the big scary goal into manageable steps and reduces that feeling of being overwhelmed, which often just leads to doing nothing.
That clarity, that being intentional, it flows right into the next habit, which honestly is often the most surprising one for people. Habit number 5, living below their means. This isn't about being stingy, is it? It's more about discipline.
Exactly. It's about choosing financial freedom down the road over impressing people today. This is probably the single biggest gap between people who just look rich and people who actually are rich.
Looking rich costs money.
It's an immediate expense, often funded by debt, designed purely for appearances. Being rich, truly wealthy, is about the quiet, steady accumulation of assets. Assets that work for you and buy you freedom later. And our sources are packed with examples of self-made millionaires, especially while they're building their wealth, living remarkably modest lives.
Yeah, you hear those stories, driving reliable, older cars, not the flashy new lease that's just draining cash every month.
Right. Or living in a comfortable, perfectly nice, affordable home that fits their needs, not the absolute biggest mansion the bank said they could technically afford with a huge mortgage.
And the crucial bit seems to be what they do with the money they don't spend. The sources say they relentlessly invest the difference.
Precisely. They intentionally create a gap, often a significant gap, between what they could spend based on their income and what they actually choose to spend. And that difference, that surplus, it doesn't just sit idle in a checking account, it gets deployed. Put to work in income-producing assets, stocks, businesses, real estate, whatever aligns with their goals.
So that's how the wealth builds up quietly behind the scenes.
Yes. It's a conscious trade-off. Long-term security and independence over immediate social validation. Look, if you're spending 95% or 100% of everything you earn, it doesn't matter how high your income is, you're financially fragile. One unexpected event, and you're in trouble.
Whereas the person earning less but saving more is stronger.
The person living on, say, 70% of their income and consistently investing the other 30%, they're building a fortress, a financial stronghold that can handle storms. It's a much more relaxed and clear way to operate, wouldn't you say? Knowing you have that buffer, that growing base of assets.
Definitely less stressful. Okay, so you're saving, you have goals, you're living below your means.
Yeah.
But what if that main income source, that job, suddenly disappears? That fortress needs reinforcements, right? Which brings us to the last foundational mechanic. Habit number 6, building multiple income streams. The safety net.
This is so critical in today's economy. Relying only on one paycheck, typically a W-2 job, is just, well, it's vulnerable.
It feels secure, but maybe it isn't.
The sources are pretty blunt about this. If 100% of your money comes from one single source, you are, and this is almost a direct quote from several, one decision away from being broke. One market downturn, one bad quarter for the company, one management change, one layoff, and your entire financial world could collapse.
Wow, that's stark.
It is. And the wealthy recognize this inherent risk. They actively work to insulate themselves from it. They don't put all their eggs in one basket.
So they layer things. It's not just the job.
Right. They intentionally build multiple sources of income. Think of it less like a single river providing everything, and more like a river delta, lots of smaller streams flowing. If one stream slows down or dries up for a bit, the others keep the water moving.
What kind of streams are we talking about typically?
Well, the sources show a common path. Often, it starts with the main job, sure, that's the base. But then, pretty quickly, they start layering things on top. Investments are common dividend stocks, index funds, maybe rental properties.
Or side businesses.
Absolutely. Or creating something like digital products, writing a book, developing a valuable consulting sideline based on their expertise, maybe even royalties from something they created years ago.
So each new stream isn't just about more money, it's about stability.
It's fundamentally a risk management strategy. Each stream is a safety net. It ensures the financial engine doesn't just completely stall if one part fails, which, by the way, is crucial for maintaining the consistency we talked about with living below your means and investing the difference. You need that reliable inflow.
Makes sense. It ensures the whole system can keep running long term.
Exactly. So once you've got these core mechanics dialed in, paying yourself first, setting clear goals, spending less than you earn, and diversifying your income, then you're really ready to leverage the other assets you have, the non-monetary ones.
Right. So we've laid the groundwork. The financial engine is built. Now let's talk about the things that really accelerate wealth creation. The leverage points. Time, knowledge, your connections. These are the multipliers. Let's jump back slightly to habit number 2, which we kind of touched on. Valuing time over money.
This is a huge mental shift. We all know intellectually that time is limited, right? But the wealthy internalize this on a different level. You can always theoretically make more money. You absolutely cannot make more time.
So they measure things differently.
Profoundly differently. They evaluate decisions based on return on time or ROT, not just the dollar cost. They become almost allergic to wasted time.
Allergic. How does that play out practically?
Well, it means they're constantly evaluating tasks. If something takes them, say, 2 hours of their focused high-value time, but they could pay an expert or use a specific tool to get it done just as well, or maybe even better, in only 30 minutes. They'll almost always make that investment. They pay to get their time back.
So avoiding the time sinks.
Absolutely. Things like, endless scrolling on social media, sitting in unproductive meetings that drone on, getting bogged down in tasks that aren't their core strength. Even chronic indecision wastes huge amounts of time. They guard their time fiercely.
This sounds like delegation and outsourcing, but maybe on steroids.
You could say that. It's applying that principle, yes, but maybe more ruthlessly. If a task doesn't directly leverage their unique skills or contribute to their most important strategic goals, the things only they can really do, then the default is to automate it, delegate it to someone on their team, or outsource it to an external expert.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about someone whose time is genuinely worth, say, $500 an hour based on their business or investments. Is it financially sensible for them to spend an hour arguing on the phone with customer service about a $50 billing error?
No, clearly not. They lose $450 in opportunity cost.
Exactly. It's financially irresponsible even if they win the argument. They're thinking strategically about efficiency, always looking for ways to multiply their results by freeing up their time and mental energy for the big picture stuff.
That focus on using time effectively, it seems like it would naturally lead into the next multiplier. Habit number 3, keeping learning. Treating knowledge itself as an investment.
Yes, and one that potentially compounds even faster than money, especially in today's world. The core idea is simple but really powerful. The market, technology, consumer behavior, everything changes constantly. If you stop learning, you're not just standing still, you're actively falling behind.
So complacency is the enemy here.
It's lethal. The moment you think, okay, I know enough now, your future decisions start becoming based on outdated information. So, for the wealthy mindset, learning isn't just a nice-to-have, like a hobby. It's a strategic necessity. It's input for making better decisions tomorrow.
We've all heard the stories, like Warren Buffett spending hours reading every day.
5 to 6 hours a day, famously. Financial reports, biographies, industry journals, newspapers. But it's not just about Buffett, and it's not just about reading one book and being done. It's the compounding effect of knowledge.
Explain that. How does knowledge compound?
Well, think about it this way. If you commit to really digging into, say, one high-value strategic book or one deep industry analysis report every single month, just one, after 5 years, what does that mean?
60 inputs, 60 new perspectives or frameworks.
Exactly. You possess 60 distinct mental models or pieces of critical information that your peers, who maybe haven't read anything strategic in those 5 years, simply lack. That knowledge gap doesn't just add up, it multiplies. It gives you an edge.
An edge in what way?
An edge in understanding risk, in spotting opportunities others miss, in anticipating market shifts before they happen. It provides the clarity and the data needed to stay, well, relaxed and clear-headed when everyone else is panicking during a downturn, for example. Learning helps you make informed, calm decisions.
But knowledge needs context, right? It doesn't just exist in a vacuum. Which leads us nicely to habit number 7, networking with the right people. That old saying, your network is your net worth. Still true.
Seems to be truer than ever, but maybe not in the way people often think. It's frequently misunderstood as just, transactional stuff. Collecting business cards at conferences, trying to use people.
That's not what the sources mean.
Not primarily. They define it more as intentional environment curation. It's about consciously choosing to surround yourself with people who are positive, ambitious, who think big, and critically who challenge you. People who raise your standards just by being around them.
So it's about the energy and the mindset you absorb.
Very much so. Energy is contagious, right? If your closest circle of friends or associates are constantly talking about limitations, complaining, focusing on problems, that's going to rub off on you. But if they're discussing launching their next venture, figuring out complex deals, pushing boundaries...
Your own ambitions seem more achievable.
Exactly. Your perspective shifts. Your own challenges might start to feel smaller, more manageable. You absorb that expansive thinking, that bias towards action. But the key difference the sources highlight is mutual growth. It's not about finding people you can take from. It's about building genuine, meaningful relationships where everyone involved helps elevate each other.
Like a mastermind group, almost.
Sort of, yeah. Or think of it like having your own informal board of advisors. You intentionally build relationships with people who are smarter than you in specific critical areas, maybe law, tax strategy, emerging tech, market trends.
So when you face a problem,
when you hit a wall or face a complex decision, you don't have to rely solely on your own limited knowledge or panic. You have immediate access to specialized, high-level thinking. You can tap into that collective wisdom. That allows you to make much clearer, more relaxed decisions based on synthesized insight, rather than just guessing or reacting emotionally in isolation. That access is invaluable.
Okay, so we've got the money mechanics, the tools like time and knowledge, the right network. Now we get to a habit that, on the surface, seems like it goes against accumulating wealth. Habit number 10, giving back. How does that fit in?
This one is fascinating because it operates on a deep psychological level. Yes, logically, giving away money or resources seems counterintuitive if your goal is accumulation.
Right. Seems like you'd want to hold on to every penny.
But the sources consistently frame this differently. Giving isn't primarily about the recipient in this context. It's about what it does to the giver's mindset. It functions as a powerful tool to shift your internal dialogue from one of scarcity to one of abundance.
Okay, unpack that psychological function. Because, yeah, for many people, giving feels like a moral choice. Maybe something you do after you're wealthy, not a habit to become wealthy.
Think about operating from scarcity. What does that feel like? Every financial decision tends to be tinged with fear, right? If I spend this, will I have enough? What if I lose my job? It leads to anxiety, maybe hoarding behaviors, definitely a reactive approach to money. You're playing defense.
Okay.
Now, consider the act of intentionally, consistently giving, supporting causes you believe in, sharing your knowledge freely, mentoring someone, even if it's small amounts of money or time initially. What are you demonstrating tangibly to your own subconscious mind every time you do that?
You have enough to spare.
Exactly. I have more than enough to share. It's a physical behavioral reinforcement of an abundance mindset. You are acting as if you are abundant.
And that reframing, acting as if, must change how you see opportunities and risk.
Profoundly. An abundance mindset fosters generosity, creativity, and a more proactive stance. And guess what? Generosity tends to attract more opportunities and better connections. People generally prefer to collaborate with and help those who seem secure and generous, not those who seem fearful, defensive, and always looking out only for themselves.
So it breaks down internal barriers.
It removes that internal perception of lack. It fosters a belief that there's enough to go around, that value can be created, not just competed for. So it's not just about feeling good, although that's part of it. It's a strategic psychological investment that actually unlocks further wealth creation by fundamentally changing your operating state from fear to confidence. It reinforces the idea that the world isn't necessarily a zero-sum game.
Okay, we've covered the systems for managing money and the multipliers like time and knowledge. But none of that works if you can't stick with it, right?
Yeah.
This brings us to the really hard part, I think. The internal game. Patience, consistency, emotional control. This is where the psychological edge comes in. Let's hit habit number 8. Staying consistent and patient.
Oh, this one runs so counter to modern culture, doesn't it? We're absolutely bombarded with messages about instant results, overnight success, viral fame, quick riches.
Get-rich-quick schemes are everywhere.
Exactly. And the truth, which is backed up consistently across all the material we looked at, is that genuine, sustainable wealth building is almost always slow. It takes time, years, often decades.
So the truly wealthy aren't chasing those quick fixes.
Generally, no. They actively avoid them because those schemes usually violate the fundamental principle of slow, steady, deliberate compounding. They understand that real wealth is built, not found. They trust the process, even when it's boring, over the allure of a quick score.
The power of compounding. It's almost invisible at first, isn't it? We talk about it with money, investments growing over time. Yeah. But the source of stress, it applies to habits too.
Absolutely. It's the compounding effect of behavior. It's that quiet, consistent action repeated day after day, week after week, year after year, saving that 10% every single month without fail, reading that one strategic article or book chapter every single morning, making that tiny 1% improvement to a business process every single week.
None of those things feel like much on their own.
They feel like nothing. That's why the patience required is so immense. The results are practically invisible for a long, long time. The analogy used in the source was perfect. It's like watching grass grow. You don't see much day to day.
But then you look back.
You look back after a few years or 5 years or 10, and the transformation is massive. If you start investing, say, $500 a month consistently when you're 25 for the first 5 years, the growth might feel really slow, almost discouraging.
Yeah, you might wonder if it's even worth it.
But those 5 years of just grinding it out, of sheer consistency, they build the foundation. They create the base upon which the really explosive growth of the next 5 or 10 years can happen.
Can we put some, rough numbers on that, just conceptually?
Well, think about it. Someone starts saving and investing modestly at 25. The growth curve is shallow initially. But if they stick with it, they don't panic sell during market dips, they keep adding steadily. The real magic happens later. Their net worth might multiply dramatically between, say, age 45 and 55, or 55 and 65.
That's the key part of the curve.
The exponential jump. But it only happens because of the relentless, boring consistency they maintained back when they were 25, 30, 35, 40, when it felt like nothing much was happening.
So consistency is the engine.
And patience is the fuel. You need enough fuel to let that engine run long enough to actually get off the ground, to reach that escape velocity. It demands a really detached, long-term perspective, a relaxed and clear view where you basically ignore the daily noise and just focus on the overall direction. You have to commit to the routine, even the boredom of it.
And maintaining that routine, that consistency, is basically impossible if you're constantly reacting emotionally, right? Which brings us to the final habit, maybe the Mount Everest of them all. Habit number 9, controlling emotions. Logic over fear and greed.
Let's be honest, money pushes buttons. It triggers deep-seated emotions in almost everyone. Fear of loss, greed for gain, anxiety about the future, envy of others. When financial pressure mounts, or when some huge, tempting opportunity appears, our default human wiring is to react emotionally.
But the wealthy mindset resists that.
They've trained themselves actively to disconnect those primal emotions, especially fear and greed, from their financial decision-making process. They don't suppress the feelings necessarily, but they don't act on them impulsively. Instead, they rely on their plan, on cold, hard data, on clear logic, on the long-term strategy they built when they were calm and rational.
We see the opposite happen all the time, don't we? Emotional mistakes.
Constantly. Think about market volatility. A sudden crash happens. The emotionally driven investor feels intense panic, maybe watches the news obsessively, and what do?
Sell low. They just want the pain to stop.
Exactly. They sell at the bottom, locking in their losses, directly violating the patience and consistency habit we just talked about. Or conversely, maybe there's a frenzy around some hot stock or crypto coin. Everyone's talking about it.
FOMO kicks in, fear of missing out.
Right. Greed takes over. And they jump in, making impulsive, often high-risk investments without doing any real research, just chasing the hype, driven entirely by emotion.
So the discipline here isn't about not feeling the fear or the excitement.
No, you'll likely still feel it. The discipline is about creating a pause, Training yourself to stop, take a breath, maybe step away, and then consciously defer to the plan, the system, the strategy you meticulously designed back when you were thinking clearly and slowly. You built that long-term strategy for a reason, precisely to guide you through these emotional storms.
So controlling emotions means staying calm when the market tanks.
Staying calm, avoiding panic selling, resisting the urge to make sudden, drastic changes based on short-term news. It also means resisting impulsive spending driven by fear, I need this comfort buy, or greed, I deserve this flashy thing because my stocks went up today.
This really ties into that idea of maintaining a relaxed and clear perspective, doesn't it?
It's absolutely central, and the sources offer a really critical insight here. Often, the biggest single obstacle to building lasting wealth isn't the external stuff. It's not market forces or government policy or global events. It's us. It's our own untrained, reactive, emotional minds.
Wow. So mastering yourself is mastering your finances.
In a very real sense, yes. If you can cultivate the patience needed to let compounding do its slow magic, and you can develop the emotional control required to stop yourself from derailing that process out of fear or greed, well, you've essentially built the ultimate defense mechanism against making catastrophic financial mistakes.
That really is the psychological edge, isn't it?
It truly is. It's replacing that, heart-pounding, adrenaline-fueled roller coaster of reactive finance with the quiet, steady, predictable hum of a logical, automated system that you trust. Hashtag tag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, that was quite a deep dive into the whole operating system of this millionaire mindset. It's really clear this isn't about finding some secret loophole or magic bullet.
Not at all. It's about systematically installing and then just rigorously maintaining these 10 specific habits, these ways of thinking and acting.
And they all seem to connect, don't they? They reinforce each other.
Absolutely. It's like a flywheel. Valuing your time lets you learn more effectively. Learning more helps you make smarter investment choices and build better income streams. Living below your means provides the capital to invest. Patience lets those investments grow. Emotional control stops you from wrecking the whole thing. It all works together.
Okay, let's just quickly run through that list one last time for everyone listening. Really focus on the core action for each one.
Okay. Number 1, pay yourself first. Automate putting those seeds aside.
Number 2, value your time. Be ruthless about maximizing your return on time.
3, keep learning. Commit to that lifelong compounding of knowledge.
4, set clear goals. You need a measurable destination for your money.
5, live below your means. Actively choose future freedom over current display.
6, build multiple incomes. Engineer resilience. Build that safety net.
7, network wisely. Curate an environment that pushes you to grow.
8, stay consistent and patient. Embrace the slow, boring power of compounding.
9, control emotions. Let logic and your long-term plan drive decisions, not fear or greed.
And finally, 10, give back. Actively reinforce that abundance mindset.
So the big takeaway, I think, from all these sources is that financial abundance isn't really magic. It's more like a predictable outcome, a repeatable result of making these kinds of smart, disciplined decisions day in, day out.
It's a fundamental shift then. In how you think, how you act, how you live your life. It changes your whole relationship with time and money.
Definitely. It goes way beyond just the numbers in your bank account.
Okay, so that leads us perfectly into our final provocative thought for you, the listener, to sort of chew on after we finish up here. We established pretty clearly that maybe the biggest barrier to building this kind of sustainable wealth is actually ourselves, our internal reactions, the cultural scripts we absorb without even realizing it. So if building wealth demands this level of internal discipline, this kind of slow, patient, clear perspective, which one of these 10 habits do you think requires the most unlearning, the most conscious rejection of deeply ingrained societal or cultural habits?
Ooh, interesting question.
Is it maybe that powerful, almost instinctual urge to spend money to impress other people? Violating that live below your means rule because society tells us status symbols matter? Or is it maybe the constant drumbeat from media and culture that fuels our desire for instant gratification, quick results, which directly attacks those crucial habits of patience and consistency and emotional control?
Which cultural narrative is the bigger saboteur?
Exactly. Which one do you, listening right now, feel you need to most actively push back against, to consciously unlearn, if you really want to embrace this kind of long-term, disciplined millionaire mindset? Something to think about.